Hi, everybody. It's Tuesday night, time for my online town hall. Want to thank everybody who's joining me this evening and just say happy Tuesday. Anyway, I know that in the last few weeks I've had a lot of guest speakers coming on and talking about various things with me, but tonight I just wanted to regroup a little bit, talk to you a little bit about me and about my platform. I know that it's been a while since I've talked about that, and we're rapidly approaching primary. So there might be some of you who are joining me for the first time this week, and just wanted to let you know a little bit more about me. And again, reiterate some of my platform issues and some of my positions on current things. And then I really am hoping that folks have questions this evening, and that you're posting those questions up. I'm going to go over right now and get my comments going so that if anybody is posting, I can see you and I will catch those comments coming in. So please feel free to stop me or ask any questions you have. And if for some reason you think of something later, you can always let me know and I'll make sure to post it or get back to you personally. So I want to start off by talking a little bit tonight just about myself and letting you know a little bit about me. I am a Colorado native. I'm a third-generation Colorado native and very proud to be from Colorado. I love this state. Have thought, at times, what if I move or what if I go do something else? And then I think, well, where would I go that I would want to be more than Colorado? So here I am. And I'm fully invested in this state. I've seen a lot of changes come about in just my lifetime here in Colorado. And some of them are great and some of them not so great. And in seeing changes and the things that are going on with our political climate right now in Colorado, it just became time for me to step forward into servant leadership. So as a Colorado native, I've lived in the North Metro area my entire life. I live in Thornton now with my husband, Ben, and my son, Emiliano. And we have been in Thornton in House District 30 for 15 years. And I love where we are. I love my community. And I really want to continue to serve that community. My family, like I said, I'm a third-generation native on both sides of my family. My great-grandparents were European immigrants on both sides of the family, and they settled in Colorado. So it just happens that both sides of my family are from this state and have a long history here. I have several veterans in my family. My grandfather was a World War II veteran in the Air Force, fighting in Germany during World War II. And my father was actually stationed there. My father's entire family was there. My stepfather was a Korean War veteran, and my uncle was also a Korean War veteran. And we've always supported military. My grandfather on my mom's side was a career railroad man. And during the war, he was not deployed because his job was so essential here to make sure that goods got moved through the country during wartime. And he worked for the railroad throughout Colorado his entire life, and was very, very proud of that type of work. So my parents are both here and educated in Colorado. My mother is a professor, and my father worked in criminal justice and counseling for many years as well. So we've all been committed to our community here in Colorado for a long time. I attended Broomfield High School and Regis for undergraduate school and UC Denver for my graduate degree. And definitely began a career of service leadership and learning through service in when I started attending Regis. It was one of the best experiences of my life, And that's really where my career of volunteering and philanthropy and that type of thing came forward, is through my experience at Regis University and taking that home and broadening that to my own family and to my own life. So it was a wonderful experience. My career, for the first 15 years of my career, I was working in counseling and psychology, and I worked with our criminal justice systems and courts, all of our criminal justice systems, from county courts all the way up through the federal system, Bureau of Prisons, Department of Corrections. And I also worked with social services and many of the other programs, DPS, a number of different organizations and institutions doing that type of work. Testified in court quite a bit and had a long career doing that. And it was a very fulfilling career. I also taught psychology for 10 years. So as a college instructor, I got to see firsthand our educational system from both sides. I began teaching around 2002, and I taught up until about 5 years ago, and taught many students, thousands of students over all of those years. I taught in psychology, some in business, communications, and a number of different areas, mostly through our community college systems, but also at some private institutions. And that experience was so enlightening. As time progressed, I saw the change in our educational system and a lot of indoctrination going on into progressive ways of thinking. I also saw a shift come about in the overall, I don't want to say maybe underlying attitude of students and the concept of school. When I attended school as a student at Regis, you were expected to be critiqued, and you were expected to have to demonstrate proficiency in particular areas of knowledge, and that was expected. And I saw over time our educational system take a turn into consumeristic type of platform. It was one I wasn't happy with at all, and it just, I think that it's become even more so over time. So you might hear something printing over here. It just decided to do that. So anyway, if you hear that noise, I apologize. But I saw that change. And so that's also part of what drives and motivates me to become involved in our state and looking at our educational system and a number of different things. You know, educational system from elementary school all the way up is one of the things that I'm very concerned about. So I currently work in the financial services industry, and so that was a career shift for me. But I've owned a couple businesses. My husband and I owned a restaurant for years. I also owned my own business years ago. When I was doing counseling, I did consulting for many years, corporate consulting and public speaking engagements and training, and did that overlapping with other things I was doing for several years. So I've had a lot of varying experiences in different systems, industries, and also as a business owner. So I have a firsthand knowledge and understanding also of what our small business owners in Colorado go through, the costs, the expenses, the challenges with our workforce, and those types of things. And I'd like to think that all of those different experiences give me some great insight into things like our educational system, small business ownership and taxation, bringing our young folks, college-age students, and even high school students into the realm of our politics and exploring that issue of indoctrination, all of those types of things. I've been an avid volunteer my entire career. I was a disaster services mental health worker for the American Red Cross, and I was there helping with 9/11. That was the beginning of a long time of service with them. I volunteered for student accountability review boards in Denver and the Denver Juvenile Justice Integrated treatment network. I was also on the review board for Jefferson County Human Services. I've volunteered through the workforce board. It just goes on and on. And about 8 years ago, my family started philanthropy and some projects at that time where we started to fund and promote our own charity projects. And when we owned our business, we regularly promoted and funded and held charity events to raise funds for various different programs. One of the biggest one we did was homelessness, but we also raised funds for local assisted living programs and Jefferson Center for Mental Health and just a number of others. And it was a great opportunity to own a business and be part of our community here in Colorado as a business owner. It was a step away from my career for a while, but it was so significant. And I feel so proud to have done that 2 years in a row. The city of Wheat Ridge nominated our business for Business of the Year, or actually not the city didn't nominate us, but we were nominated for the city's award for Business of the Year twice in a row. And that was in our first 2 years of business in the industry. So that was, just something that I was very proud of to have achieved that. And so, I want to just tell you a little bit about my purpose for running. I have over the years become more and more conservative in my position with regard to politics, as I have seen what once was a political system that offered and afforded a relatively, I don't want to say mainstream, but certainly our two-party system was not nearly as divided or extremely divided as it is today. And as that has happened, I've seen this movement of progressivism really into socialism that is very concerning to me. The overreach of our government into our personal lives is become out of control and in so many ways. And right now, we are experiencing this firsthand. And as we look at how our government is overstepping those bounds and becoming bigger and bigger, it is so concerning to me because big government has not proven to be effective. So if you look at world news and history, right, although there are some folks that are loving to say right now that we need to be a socialist country, and they believe that's the answer to everything, knowledge about the way things have been around the world will tell you that that is not the case. And the other thing is that is not the system that has enabled this country to be what it is. And I know that there is a lot going on in this country right now. There are a lot of people that are upset about racism, and we're divided on the issues of COVID, and politically we're getting further and further apart, I believe. And I do hear a lot of anti-American, anti-US, whatever you want to say, rhetoric out there in the community. And I just want to say that for everything that is going on, I still believe that this country is the greatest country in the world, and I'm proud to be an American. And I want to work in whatever capacity I can in Colorado as a representative to help bring about positive change and unity in this country that will allow us to thrive and flourish in the manner in which we have for so many years, and in the manner which makes us a nation around this world that people want to come to. So for all of you out there who say, oh, America's terrible, I just challenge you, if we're so terrible, then why is it that so many people want to come here still today? And I constantly see posts and information from people around the world in other socialist or communist countries or places where freedoms are so prohibited, pleading with Americans to wake up and see what it is we are giving up by not fighting this movement, talking about how this is the last stand of freedom in the world and that we can't allow this to slip away. So although as a representative, I understand and I acknowledge my reach is not going to be one into national or federal level issues as a state House representative, but every single person coming together at every level, it's essential for us to do that in order to create the change that we want to see. And whatever that change is that you want to see, if you want to see better racial unity, more inclusion, or if you want to see an economy and a community that allows and supports private small businesses so that we can continue to improve on employment, whatever that is, it's not going to happen by just one group of people or just by federal politicians or anything like that. We all have to get involved. And I think right now more than ever, this is not a time to sit on the sidelines. And so this is how I am choosing to fight. And everyone else has to make their decisions about how they move forward in our current world. But this is my way. And I really want to bring my experience and my dedication to this to the table and serve the people in House District 30 and in the state of Colorado. So that's really where I am with my position and why I want to run for office. I have an 11-year-old son. He's almost 12. And there's nothing that makes me prouder than looking at him every day. Of course, as a parent, one of the things that'll be my greatest satisfaction in life is helping to develop and teach and mentor a young person into a wonderful adult, a God-fearing adult, a service-oriented adult. And I talk and work with him every day. And I want all parents to have the freedom to do that, the choice to do that, and the opportunity to raise their children with all of the best opportunities possible. And that's my drive. So, all right. So enough about why I want to run and all that type of stuff. I want to talk to you just a little bit about my platform. So I'm updating some information out there on my website. This is a hard job, being a campaign, being in a campaign and campaigning, right? Being a candidate for office is no sit back type of job. There's no lounge chair here. I've said more than once, I want to be out there meeting people. And the good and nice thing is I'm getting out more and more and walking and being able to talk to some people now that some restrictions are being lifted. And I think that overall people are moving about more and welcoming some interactions in person. And that's so exciting for me because I am excited to do that. So in fact, I am having 2 walking events on the 13th and the 20th, and I would like to invite people to come walk with me. I can't reach a goal without help, guys. So if you can come out even for just 1 hour, I'm going to have cold drinks and snacks, plenty of lists. I just need you to bring your smartphone and come ready to talk and walk with me, and we'll try to make fun of it as much as we can. If you can't walk, I know that for some people that's hard. Phone calls, you can definitely make phone calls, and I can hand deliver you a list if you want, or get it to you if you're willing to take a little time out of your day, out of your week, to help move me forward in this race. So that's my mid-town hall plug tonight. Okay, so again, just excited to be out there and doing some more of that, but I'm also working on my website. Things are just moving so quickly, and trying to get all of the information out there to you and be available and give you what you need to see my campaign. So want to talk to you about my platform a little bit. Again, as a representative, right, there's going to be an endless amount of things that I will have to address or be required to address. But of course, there's always things that are important to me, and so I want to talk about those a little bit, and I believe they're important to others in the district and in the state as well. I don't think that these are isolated issues in any way or special for just me, and certainly they're not going to be the end all of everything, and they don't encompass every belief I have. But, these are kind of some of my top priorities. Number one is, protecting parental rights in our educational system and in our healthcare system. So this is really about allowing parents to make choice about their students' education and addressing some of the indoctrinating policies that have come about, and also allowing parents to be in control of what type of things their children are being taught in school, and having control and choice over whether or not they want their children to participate in that, or even come right down to having the choice of where their children attend school. And that parental rights concern of mine stretches over into the healthcare system. I want parents to be able to make informed consent and decisions they feel are right for their children. And so it doesn't matter what your position is with regard to various health cares, okay? Right now, vaccines have been a major concern, okay? You like vaccines, you don't like vaccines. It doesn't really matter which way you stand. I believe that the more that we impose the will of legislators or of drug manufacturers or of other people who have a financial stake in forcing families into medical treatments that they don't like, that's just problematic to me. So it's fine if people want to continue to promote medications, drugs, vaccines. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even have to be vaccines. It's with regard to pharmacy and drugs and the cost of drugs, or whatever it might be. And I'm all for moving forward with the best healthcare treatment available. But I do believe that parents should be entitled to make their choice as to what they want to have their children getting in terms of healthcare. And when there are things that do have the potential for risk, we should be able to choose that for ourselves and not be forced into participating in that. And that is very important to me. So want to just continue, if elected in November, that'll be something that I will continue to work on diligently. I believe that the core family is important, and it's a very important part of our community, our structure, and we need to be able to preserve that. And so that whole idea of government interference and overreaching government into our lives translates into a lot of other things too. For me, that's just something that's of importance to me. The other thing that's important to me is protecting jobs and energy sources, revenues, all of the things that come from responsible oil and gas production and fracking in Colorado, and recognizing, and I know I've done other town halls on this, so if you haven't already seen my town hall with Trisha Fanning, please go watch that and some of the other ones, and hopefully I'll be having some more folks on to talk about those important things. But it's not just folks who work in oil and gas. There's a number of different industries. I mean, there's just thousands of industries and jobs that rely on oil and gas production, and including, our solar energy options or our wind energy options. These things are not in isolation of each other. And there are millions of dollars of revenue that go toward a lot of things in this state, including those schools and the educational system and things like that. So I want to work to promote that, and to also promote education around that and understanding, so that people really do understand what is going on there instead of just hearing the hype. I'm also concerned with, our mental health system. Of course, having worked in this system for many years, I have a lot of insight into this system and some of the problems that we have in this system. Half a century ago, we had deinstitutionalized mental health, and we have struggled as a nation ever since that moment to provide adequate and sufficient mental health treatment and services to those with chronic mental illness. And that problem has just sprawled out into our community, into a number of other different areas. And we can certainly look at the underlying issues with regard to homelessness or public health and violence and a number of different things and how they're related to our mental health system. The purpose here is not to now start a whole new taxation and intruding government regulations, but to better utilize the resources we already have and to address the underlying issue in our mental health system, which is inadequate level of service for chronically mentally ill. Okay, deinstitutionalization was a reaction, and I want to call it almost a knee-jerk reaction to some of the atrocities that were being found in our inpatient mental health system. And so this pendulum swung big and it swung wide, and we never took into consideration that we have a lot of people in our community who seeing a case manager for 1 hour a week is just simply not sufficient. And we need to address that issue. And I also believe that mental health and things like that get out of control become a catalyst or an excuse for things like the red flag laws and stuff like that. There's some intertwining there, and we need to be able to look at the real issue and not create more legislation to intrude on people based on something that, to be honest with you, most people don't have a very good understanding of. And I can say that very clearly as a licensed psychologist for many years and having worked in that industry for 15 years and taught in that industry. Most people in the general public who don't deal on a regular basis with the mental health system are not aware of what's going on. And that's not to insult anybody or say anything bad. Not everybody can be aware of everything, right? I just have a particular insight to that and understanding that's concerning to me. So I'd like to continue to work on that over time. Want to concentrate on our economy and small businesses. You have a lot of ideas with regard to work to school programs and things like that. I talked about that in some of my earlier broadcasts as well. I think this is important that we support industry and private industry. It is, again, government uses money, private industry generates money. So if government is just gigantuous machine and it's so gigantuous that it impedes private industry and business, right? Then we are at a point where we're upside down. We have a government that's using money, and we have no industry to generate revenues. So we have to address this issue. We just have to address it. Bigger and bigger government is not our answer to fixing things. And clearly, if you look around at some of the bureaucrats and the comments and the way people are talking and the things that are going on, we need to look at that system overall and some of the people that are in there. So, of course, things that are important to me, there are a number of other things that are important to me. A lot of friends, Republicans, fellow Republicans, and other people say, how do you feel about the Second Amendment? How do you feel about abortion? Those types of things. As simply put as I can say, I support the Second Amendment, lawful gun ownership, period. That's it. It's a constitutional right, and I support it. As far as abortion goes, my personal perspective on that is pro-life. I believe that life inside the womb is important and needs to be protected. And when it comes to those issues, I will do everything that I can to fairly represent the constituents in my area on those issues, on any of these issues. But those issues are always ones that are near and dear to people's heart. And so, as a state representative, it will be my duty to represent the people in the community with regard to those issues. And of course, there's just a number of other issues that we could go into, but I really wanted to touch on the things that are at the forefront of my platform this evening. I've said it before, and I will say it again. I will not have every answer, but I do want to listen. I will have some answers and certainly some ideas. But I want to continue to collaborate and listen. So the last thing I briefly want to discuss with you is the month of June is really coming into primary month. So in Adams County, our primary, right, is at the end of June, and ballots for mail-in voting are going in the mail here in a few days, and you'll be seeing them in your mailbox. And so I just want to explain something about primary, okay? Primary is the time where, as registered Republicans or unaffiliated voters, you have the ability to cast your ballot for Republican candidates that you would like to see be on the ballot for the November general election. This is a very important process. Right now, I have a primary race, and I have worked extremely hard to come forward and put the work in on this campaign. And I need your support in that primary election in June. So please, if you haven't already looked at all of my other media, my past town halls and platform issues, and if you have questions, reach out to me so that I can answer or address those for you. But I am looking for your vote in June. It's very important. Right now, we need a candidate who is going to put the work in to unseat the Democratic incumbent in House District 30. She's completing her second term, and she has personally been involved with a lot of the far overreaching legislation that we currently have. And it is so important that you choose a candidate in this primary who is going to go out and work, and I'm just going to say it like hell, to win this district back. And that is me, Cynthia Sarmiento. I'm going to put in that work. So please make sure when you see that ballot that you're casting those votes. If you have any questions, reach out and let me know. With all of that said, I will be posting a lot of events. So in addition to my 2 walking events, on Sunday the 14th in the afternoon, I'm going to have 2 meet and greet in the park at 2 different park locations, one in Thornton and one in Commerce City. And we'll be out there with popsicles and cold drinks and balloons and fun things like that. So I certainly hope that you come out and ask your questions. We're doing this in the park, in local parks, so that we can be outside, maintain our social distance for those who that's important to, and we can be respectful of that. But really just want to be out in the community, make myself available for people to come and meet. And those events will be posted. I have the 2 walking events that are coming up, and I'm looking for folks to come out and walk with me. And then finally, if you can make phone calls on my behalf, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, my website's getting some updates and things. So if you go onto it and it's not available immediately, please make sure you check back. We're just cleaning it up and making sure that there's sufficient information out there for you. That website is CynthiaSarmientoHD30.com. When you land on that page, you'll see my picture with my husband and my son. The next thing you'll see is a donate button. Please click that button, even if it's only for $5. Every penny counts toward helping me meet my goal and toward helping us get back this House district. All right, well, for tonight, I'm going to say goodnight. And if I missed any questions, I will make sure to address those in the follow-up and comments archived. Okay? Thank you, everybody.